Massachusetts, I submit for your advice and consent my decision to pardon Terrance Joseph Williams for the following finding of delinquency: assault and battery by means of a dangerous weapon. Mr. Williams' petition was favorably recommended to me, the governor, by the Advisory Board of Pardons. His petition, the board's recommendation, and related attachment are included for your review. Sincerely, Maura Healy, Governor. Before we hear from you, I first want to introduce the councilors. To my left here, Councilor Eileen Duff. Next to her, Councilor Terrance Kennedy, Councilor Paul DiPaolo, Councilor Tara Jacobs, and to my right, Councilor Joseph Ferrara. At this point, before we hear from you, you have an esteemed person here. I got to take him out of line. Councilor Michael Flaherty, he is, as we all know, is on the Boston City Council. He is an at-large member. With the people who know him, he's doing an outstanding job. He's well respected, and he is here in support of your pardon. So at this point, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen, councilors. I am here with extreme pleasure and honor, frankly, to be supportive of a dear friend of mine I've known for over 20 years, and one of the most decent, honorable, and honest people that I've ever met in my life in public service, as well as being a resident of the city. I have to say, I talked to him about this. I learned about it from watching the news, despite the fact that I've known him as long as I've known him. And he calls me, and anytime he calls me, it's always for someone else. Always putting someone else's issues, someone else's problems, someone else's conundrum before his own. And he's called me 1,000 times. We've helped a whole bunch of folks in the community, from young kids in the neighborhood to guys and girls he grew up with to seniors. He has a particular interest in taking care of elders, taking care of those who have helped take care of him and his family. We organize senior bingos. We do them particularly in the community of color, also in his neighborhood, that he organizes with a whole group of his friends. I bring the bingo machine, Mr. Chairman, and we have lots of fun playing games with the seniors, and he makes sure that there's plenty of food to go around. So to the core, as I mentioned, he's one of the most decent individuals that I've ever met, and we've worked closely together on a number of different issues. Proud and honored to call him my dear friend. Practicing law for over 27 years. If you take a look at the report, process should have never issued. That would be today. That would have never even moved beyond a dispute between two best friends. They were two best friends fooling around. I guess at one point it got a little serious, and that was the end of it. And yet a third party, I think, intervened and pushed it down a road that it didn't need to go. Personally and professionally, he is a credit to his family, but he's also a credit to our city as a municipal employee for many, many years. And anytime me or my staff or have had to reach out to him in his official capacity, I've never heard him say the words no. Can't do that. It's either yes, done, or let me figure it out. We'll figure it. We'll find a way to make this happen. So again, always putting other issues before his own. So proud to be here. So happy for him. As they say, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Worked long and hard. This is deserved. Again, should have never happened, but of all people who are deserving of this, who has been a man for others, in community, among your family, your friends, and your peers. Anyone that has met you loves you. I love you, my family loves you, and I'm so happy for you today. And hopefully, Mr. Chair and ladies and gentlemen of the council will vote favorably for this pardon. So love you and best of luck. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I know you have a busy schedule. You have a hearing coming up, I believe, at 12. Thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule. And I think Councilor Kennedy has a question.
Your testimony obviously means a lot. You and your whole family have been dedicated public servants in the city of Boston forever. I think maybe the only other family that's been as dedicated to public service in Boston is the Iannellas. And it obviously means a lot. I've known you forever. I've known your father for decades upon decades upon decades. He was a great man and a great public servant. That means a lot.
And he's leaning on, I guess, my credibility. I have to tell you, I've leaned on his credibility in the community for over 20 years. And my success as a citywide city councilor, representing all 22 wards and getting introductions and being in neighborhoods and meeting folks has been because I've been able to mention his name or to be associated with him or to walk in a room with him, and instantly I'm able to borrow his credibility. And so I'm happy to at least return in kind.
Thank you very much. Council Ferrara.
I just want to let you know, Mr. Williams, that, your counselor here reached out to me, and not once, not twice, but said the same thing like 5 times. What a wonderful person you are. I'm a slow learner, so he wanted to make sure I understood it. But, yeah, you can't have a better guy in your corner, and we put a lot of credit into what he says. So, I think it's a case that, I was a cop for 30 years. It's a case that shouldn't have been brought, 30 years ago. It's kind of ridiculous, a couple of kids fighting, and good to see that you're still best friends today. And I'm happy to vote for your party next week, or whatever we vote on it.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councilor Devaney.
Thank you. What a pleasure to see you. What a nice unexpected pleasure. I wanted to overlook I can't say enough. I was so honored to vote for your father. Wonderful. Only had him for a few years, but he was great. Tell me, can you think of one adjective to describe?
Honest.
That's the best adjective you could have, honest, right? And I thought you were going to say compassionate too.
Selfless. I'll go through the adjectives with you.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming. It means a lot. And, talking about, this was well that started. And this is an example of what happened, and it's a shame. Thank you so much, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. You're doing a great job in the council. Keep up the good work. Good to see you.
Love it soon. Love it. Right?
Please.
At this point, we'll hear from Councilor Eileen Duff. If he has any questions. Next, we'll hear from Councilor Terrance Kennedy.
I don't have any questions. I don't think this case would have been brought in the first place. You shouldn't have been prosecuted. If it happened today, if anything happened since the jury would have had no record of it. What happened is a disgrace, and I'm sorry this pardon didn't happen 30 years ago.
Thank you very much. Councilor Paul DiPaolo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Likewise, I don't have questions, but I echo this sentiment. I've worked with youth for much of my career, and I see to this day people getting caught up in juvenile court for school incidents that maybe don't make any sense. And a lot of them end up on paths that don't turn out as well as yours. So I'm really grateful to have a chance to vote on this. As some of my colleagues had said, I really thank Governor Healy, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, everyone in the administration who's made this a priority so early in their tenure. And I am really hopeful, and I look forward to hopefully seeing more of these. And Councilor, I just want to thank you for holding this hearing. The public has taken a big interest in these pardons, given, again, Governor Healy's kind of extraordinary action to do so early. I do hope, and I intend, I hope and I speculate that these will become prominent enough that the hearings may not be a necessary part of the process, given the kind of slam dunk nature of all the proceedings. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. No further comments.
Thank you very much. Councilor Jacobs.
Thank you. Welcome today. Thank you for coming. And I do have a couple questions, but first I echo some of the sentiments already mentioned. I'm so enthusiastic that the Healy administration has chosen to jump right in and immediately introduce pardons into our work. And I think it's such an important part of our judicial system, and clemency is so key. So your case is stunning in that you were A, so young, B, your best friend who's still your lifelong friend. And it seems like maybe a session on We Don't Hit Our Friends might have been in order, but not criminal proceedings. So to me, your case is a stark representation of some of the injustices that have occurred in our judicial system over time, and going back years is many, many years ago. So I feel like you deserve this on your own merits and for the life you've lived and for the travesty of what the actual originating case was about. But I feel like you also represent in our judicial system, you are sort of the image, the icon for so many people who are also in a place where there was just a grave injustice happened. They were prosecuted for things that probably they shouldn't have. And so I hold you up as just sort of the model of why pardons are so important. And why I'm so happy that you're here to receive one. Really, the only question I just wanna ask you and hear from you is, what has been the impediment in your life and doing what you want to do, having this hanging over your head, and what do you perceive will be the benefit receiving this pardon, going forward?
Well, thank you. I'd like to thank this opportunity.
If you could speak up a little louder, sir.
I'm sorry, I'm just so emotional.
Okay.
Finally, like I said, somebody hearing my story. I'm just thankful, that it finally happened. I was trying to become a part-time police officer like my uncles, which it has stopped me. They bypassed me. And when I went before the commission of civil, they said, well, the next time you'll be, well, that next time never came. Even after I took the test 3 times and then 98 was the highest, they never came back to me. So then me and a close friend of mine become business partners. First we was gonna do a laundromat, then, then he wanted to do security. Well, because of this, I couldn't go into the security business with him because I wasn't armed. He was, armed security. So, that stopped me from pursuing that on with him to become armed. But, other than that, I refuse to let anything, get in my way. I was, wanted just to keep going, just keep pursuing, because I know one day, somebody was going to hear my story. I'm glad, today, God, of God to hear my story and see, because even when I spoke to the gentleman's mother on the passing of my mom's 2 years ago, me and his moms was talking about it, and she was upset. She was like, "What you mean this is still over your head?" I'm like, yeah. She was like, "What?" And that's what she was like, "Oh no." And she, some talk said, "No, you're gonna write a support letter for him because I tweet." She told us, once it happened, she told the school, "I'm not pressing charges because we told them don't fool around in school. You don't go to school to fool around. You go to school to learn." And when I say he's my friend, but he's like my brother. When in the development, I lived on the first floor. He lived on the third floor, and that's how close we was from kindergarten all the way up till this day. We're still like brothers.
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Councilor Joseph Pereira.
I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Marilyn Petito Devaney.
Thank you. I didn't have to be a hearing. This should never have come this far. And I want to tell you that the letters that we received, and especially supporting from the police department, and they support you to carry it on, because I understand that you want to, probably when you go to Florida to be a security guard.
No, I'm not going to Florida. That was the last one. I'm staying with
That was Mr. King. Staying with us.
I'm sorry.
He's staying with us.
So you're,
Williams.
but you are staying here?
I'm staying in Massachusetts.
Right, okay, but what I'm saying is that people have said you're high integrity, that you're always there to help people. And this is just very emotional for me, for both of you men that have come here. And that's why it just is so egregious that you have to come, because you shouldn't have to have, your name shouldn't be out there. This should be, you've earned it. And all of that is to say what you've done with your life. So, it was such a minor thing, but Yeah, was the governor at that time, when we had the crime. So it's affected hundreds and hundreds of people, unfortunately, including you. So I'm sorry, I'm a little emotional about this tonight. I know that you continue having a good life and continuing a good, long, healthy life.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Devaney. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Now, you were convicted many years ago. I think you're a juvenile at the time, correct?
Yes, sir.
And this involved an incident with one of your close friends,
Sir.
your buddy, and you're still friends with him today.
Yes, sir.
No, I understand. You know, a pardon is something that's extraordinary. 99% of people who are convicted don't get a pardon, maybe even a higher percentage. So to get a pardon is a big deal. And you've requested a pardon so you can carry a gun, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I know you've worked, or you do work, at the Boston Water Sewer Department. You've worked there for 30-plus years.
Yes, sir.
And you've also worked at the Suffolk County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, sir.
And you do what for the sheriffs? You serve process?
Civil process and the enforcement. I'm in the enforcement and civil processor.
Okay. And I know you want to have a pardon in order you can obtain a gun license. At one point, you tried to either work at Ware Security Consultants, or you were gonna work with them to open up a bit. Tell me about the connection with Ware Security.
Well, Michael Ware is the gentleman that I spoke about earlier. Close friend of mine. We was gonna entrepreneurs. We decided we was gonna do a laundromat. And then the place that we seen, fell through. So then, he wanted to become a Boston police officer, and something that happened with him with that. So we was like, okay, let's just start a security company. And then so we went through the process, but because of this case, it has stopped me, as it wouldn't require me to carry a firearm. So he proceeded on, just doing real great with this company. So me and him, we spoke, if I get the pardon, if I'm able to carry, then I can come and join force, doing some part-time work,
Okay, when did you first apply for a pardon?
in the 1990s.
1990s. And at that point, do you know whether or not your request for a pardon was approved by the Advisory Board of Pardons?
No, they have told me, they said, first, they was like, well, you need a letter from the Boston.
All right, a little louder there.
First, they told me you need a letter from the Boston Police Department for the carry. And I made an attempt to go to Boston Police headquarters, and they said they don't give out letters. The legal department will not allow them to issue letters. And then I said, okay, well, then I can at least, do better in my life. Then I was told, well, we don't give pardons just to give pardons. I'm like, okay. And then at the time, that first process, I had started with a great mentor of mine who I know the building by heart because of him, Kevin Fitzgerald. He's one of my mentors for mission. He started with me, but then of his passing, where it just fell. And then I kept trying after each administration, kept trying, said, okay, well, somebody's going to hear my case, somebody's going to hear my case, but they kept telling me the same thing. A letter from the Boston Police Department, because we just don't give pardons to give pardons.
So let me ask this. Some people get a pardon and there's no request to carry a firearm or to get a license. Was that, and I assume that was every request of a pardon, you wanted to obtain a license to carry?
No, because I think one time, if I'm not mistaken, I said, you know what, let me put no. See, and it was the same thing. We just don't give pardons to give pardons.
And that was from the governor's office or the parole board?
Parole board.
Okay, okay.
Because I never made it to a hearing at the parole board. I just received a letter in the mail after, my application stating that, okay, denied because of certain
I think a situation like this, you were, I think, 15 years old, I read,
14.
14.
Yes.
He was with a friend. I think I read he didn't even want to pursue the case. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but, you know, you can't look back. You always got to plan on looking forward. It looks pretty promising, as you can see here, that you will get approval by the Governor's Council. I'll be more than happy to put your name before the council at our next formal meeting, because I think you deserve it.
Thank you.
But before I let you go, is there any family members here you'd like to introduce?
Yes, my wife Pamela Williams, that's my queen.
Good morning. How are you today? Do you want to say anything, or we'll just leave it alone?
I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Yeah.
Good shot.
He's done a great job today. Okay, that will conclude the portion of the hearing with people, or at least your part of the presentation. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition of Mr. Williams' pardon? Then, having been known in opposition, at this point, I will close the hearing, and like I said, I'd be more than happy to put your name before the council at the next formal hearing. And thank you very.
I just wanted to say, Counselor, that people may not know, but when you were denied, the governor denied it too, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, just on that point, I got the impression from you, we won't elaborate on it, but you never got the approval from the parole board, advisory board, is that correct? Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, if that's right, that means it would never, it only goes to the governor. Okay, it only goes to the governor, no matter who the governor is, it only goes to the governor if the parole board, which is, they call it the advisory boards of pardons, recommends it. Just has to be a majority vote of the advisory board of pardons. If they okay it, then it goes to them. Generally speaking, there are times when a governor can do it without going to the advisory board of pardons, but in your situation, it didn't go that way. They didn't approve it. It happens the way I just said, when it's like the last days of an administration and they really want to pardon someone, but there's not enough time to go in front of the parole board. That didn't happen in your situations. You had your hearings and you were denied at the parole board. Well, hopefully everything will work out for you, and thank you so much for coming. Thank you.